From the WOBX Weather Center, I'm Sam Walker. Good Tuesday evening, and we have got a lot to get to ahead of this double dose of tropical weather along the Outer Banks. I just saw there a moment ago, the live shot from Kerala right now, and you can see as high tide is coming up. This was recorded just before 7 o'clock on Tuesday evening, and high tide right around 7. And you can see quite a bit of beach is under the water right now. And we're seeing that all up and down the Outer Banks. Let's make our way down. This is what's going on right now. This is off Kerala Lights. Here's a view from Kitty Hawk right now. And pretty much it's the same scenario all the way down the Outer Banks this evening with high tide. Here's Jeanette's Pier. And obviously with the waves we've got, only folks that are in the ocean and should be in the ocean and will be in the ocean for the next couple of days are the surfers. Of course, we got the WRV Pro going on down there in Nags Head all the rest of the week, so getting perfect conditions for that. But everybody else got to stay out of the ocean. Only surfers are allowed in. Got to have a board that's attached with a leash. Bodyboarders have to be the pro-style bodyboards with fins. They're the only ones allowed in. Everybody else not in above your knees. That was the view there in Nags Head. Here's what we've got still shot from Merlo Beach, and you can see, of course, this is the old Highway 12, which has been bypassed by the Jug Handle Bridge. But as you can see, we've got plenty of water up under the houses there in Merlo Beach. The same thing reported all the way down past Rodianthe Pier. You can see the dune overwash has already happened down a little bit farther down Merlo Beach Road. We really don't have a name for this road yet. I call it Merlo Beach Road, but it's the old Highway 12 in Rodianthe. Here's a view from Rodianthe in one of the oceanfront houses here, and you can see the waves are rushing up underneath those houses. That's pretty much the scenario. This is just south of the Rodianthe Pier. Avon Pier, just south of there, you can see the waves breaking off the end there. We saw that earlier today during low tide, and even here in high tide, we're seeing it. Thankfully, of course, we had the beach nurse, but it took place there last year. That's going to help protect all those areas that have had overwash problems in Avon over the last couple of years. The red flags, by the way, if you look real close, you see the American flag up top to the right. Those are the no swimming flags are out on Avon Pier this evening. This is a still shot from NCDOT looking north on Highway 12 at the motels as you come into Buxton Village. There's the Fessenden marker. The Reginald Fessenden first radio broadcast marker. And you can see the conditions there. Then we go around to Hatteras. This is from Hatteras Village and a live shot there. And you can see the waves breaking off way offshore from Franklin. And pretty much everything's up to the dunes. I've seen the NCDOT camera at Sandy Bay north of there. We're seeing a little bit of overwash reported between Frisco and Hatteras right now. So that is what we're looking at this evening. On this Tuesday evening. So what are we going to be dealing with over the next 3 to 5 days? Well, first off, we're dealing with the waves and the rip current risk from Franklin. That's going to continue. We do have the combination of that onshore flow from Franklin of those waves, the long period swells that are going to continue to happen for the next couple of days as Franklin passes off to our east. Here is the latest advisory for the National Hurricane Center. Franklin, still a Category 3 major hurricane, our first major hurricane of the season, and it's located, roughly southeast of Bermuda, or southwest of Bermuda, well southeast of us. It's already making its northeasterly turn, and it's going to sprint off to the northeast over the next couple of days and be all the way up out in the open Atlantic. The North Atlantic by Saturday as an extratropical cyclone. But those waves are going to continue. Couple that with the king tide. What's a king tide? That's the higher than normal tide that we've got going on right now because of the full moon and the fact that the moon is in its closest location to the Earth in its orbit over the next few days. So we're going to couple the waves we're already getting from Franklin. We're going to couple that with that higher than normal tide, and that's why we're getting this bigger run up of waves already. And we don't have an onshore wind. We've had some light offshore wind. We've kind of had a sea breeze kicking in at times, but we're not going to be dealing with the true wind driven stuff until Adalia gets closer. And of course, now Adalia is down there in the Gulf of Mexico. That's where she's at right now. Looks like the Big Bend area is going to get hit with a major hurricane tomorrow, early tomorrow morning with landfall overnight tonight, early tomorrow morning in the Big Bend area where the center is going to hit. But of course, everything north of Tampa under a hurricane warning. We are now under a tropical storm watch. I know it's a little difficult, but everything you see in yellow up top from the state line all the way down to Surf City. Below that is a tropical storm warning. From Surf City southward is a tropical storm warning. But we here on the Outer Banks and in eastern North Carolina, northeastern North Carolina, including the Sounds and the counties around the Sounds, again, we are under a tropical storm watch. That means that tropical storm conditions are possible within the next 36 to 48 hours. And we're going to get to all what that means here in just a second. So that is the latest on Adalia. I'm going to switch it over now, and we're going to take a look at the briefing that we got from the folks, our good friends at FIRST, the National Weather Service office in Newport Moorhead City. And this is what they're giving us right now. I can leave the bug up there. So, man, try not to scroll through this too fast. It's a little hard to do with the mouse. But we are looking at a pretty decent flooding, significant flash flooding event starting Wednesday afternoon through Thursday night. That's going to start down to the south, towards the South Carolina border, then make its way northward. Anywhere from 4 to 6 to maybe possibly 8 inches of rain is possible across much of the area. There is a moderate risk of tornadoes, mainly down south, especially the southern coast. Could see the possibility of some tornadoes, though, isolated tornadoes spinning out of this. We do have a greater than previously anticipated storm surge threat. The winds are going to be limited. We're not really going to see a lot of winds. It's kind of typical for a nor'easter, maybe some wind gusts of up to 50 miles an hour along the oceanfront areas. The marine areas, obviously, that's going to be a big problem for those parts as well. All right, so the flooding rain threat really looks to be the worst down to our south, down towards Newbern, Moorhead City, and those areas. Total rainfall amounts for areas south of the Albemarle Sound, basically the Outer Banks is 4 to 6 to 6 to 8 inches of rain. 4 to 6 in the North Beaches, 6 to 8 Hatteras and Ocracoke, 4 to 6 south of the Albemarle Sound. You get north of the Albemarle Sound, I'll get to that in the briefing from Wakefield in a moment. 2 to 4, 3 to 4 inches of rain is possible. Storm surge flooding. This is for our Crystal Coast friends, 1 to 3 feet on the ocean front. The biggest threat of storm surge looks like it's going to be on the southwestern Pamlico Sound and into the Pamlico River towards Washington, Belhaven, and Bath, and then on down east, Cedar Island, Oriental, Cherry Branch, those areas in Carteret County. They seem to be in the worst of the potential for storm surge. But those 1 to 3 feet blues, that's your Hyde County, Dare County mainland over to Stumpy Point, down the Alligator River, East Lake, Columbia, and the south shore of the Albemarle Sound. And then on the ocean side, 1 to 3 feet for all of the beaches from Corolla down to Ocracoke. Maybe a little bit of sound side, 1 to 3 feet from Buxton to Ocracoke. But this northeast wind is really what we're worried about once Adalia gets here. Couple that with what we're already getting with this ground swell coming off of Franklin and then the higher than normal tides. That's why we've got this ocean water wash impact that's going to potentially cause problems on Highway 12, especially at high tide. Moderate beach erosion is possible. That Rodanthe area, the North Rodanthe area, that 2-mile stretch of beach in Rodanthe, really folks are being told stay off of that beach because of the potential for those houses that are up there that are damaged to collapse. Tornado threat, we mentioned that. Few isolated tornadoes possible Wednesday afternoon through Thursday. Wednesday night, tomorrow night, make sure you've got something that can wake you up if there's a tornado warning where you live, especially on Hatteras and Ocracoke and down south. We can't rule out that anytime you've got a landfalling tropical system, those rain bands can cause tornadoes to spin up. The wind threat, that's all in yellow, anywhere from 39 to 57 miles an hour. That, again, is tropical storm force. Our max wind gusts could be as high as 50 miles an hour on the beaches, 40 miles an hour as you head inland. Expect things to start to deteriorate for us in northeastern North Carolina early Thursday morning. Maybe Wednesday night we might see it. That's the earliest amount, but we might see something Wednesday night. But really, Thursday is going to be the biggest impacts from Idalia are going to be for us on Thursday. Those are just some of the other graphics. Again, we can't emphasize enough the rip current risk. We'll switch over now to the briefing that we got from the National Weather Service office in Wakefield. This is just really more of the geographics changes. Pretty much all the same information there. Wind gust of 40 to 50 miles an hour for the inland areas of northeastern North Carolina, 50 to 55 even possibly for Corolla. But again, this is going to be, we're going to be farther away. The farther north you get, the farther away from the center of Idalia you're going to be. So there's less of that threat from the winds. This is really not going to be a huge wind event. Maybe a potential rainfall event. You can see there overall the rainfall forecast from this afternoon that they were thinking for the entire southeast from Idalia. Looks like it's really going to be a 3 to 4 inches, maybe 4 to 6, closer to the Albemarle Sound. 3 to 4 inches of rain for Elizabeth City. Then about 1 to 3 places like Moyock and up towards the state line. And it really drops off once you get into southeast Virginia. Wind gust along the waters, 44 miles an hour, 44 knots. But again, as we talked about, 50 to 55 is what we're thinking potential peak gusts out of this along the ocean front. So again, we got multiple threats. We've got a long period of this. I know we've talked about earlier this weekend about, and yesterday and today we've tried to emphasize the rip current risk. That is the main thing that's going on right now. The rip current threat is our main thing we've got going on right now. They're going to be dealing with some wind. Maybe we're going to deal with some rain. For those of you who are not from here, those of you who are visiting from out of town, those of you who are not here and watching this on our various social media channels, I don't want to say it too lightly, but kind of put it this way. Just another typical week on the Outer Banks. This is nothing unusual. But again, because of the high amount of people we've got here and people aren't familiar with it, we're trying to emphasize a lot of things. Storm surge, rainfall threats. Those are the two biggest things we're going to have to worry about. Ocean overwash, high tides around now. So between 7 o'clock, 7:30 tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock tomorrow night, 8:30, 9, just kind of space it out. The evening high tide seems to be the higher of the two, and it's going to be around with us into the weekend and possibly as far as Labor Day, because Idalia's forecast track just has it going out there and spinning around. And we'll couple that with what's pushing Idalia out, which is a high pressure system up north. We're going to have this wind gradient. So we're going to see some pretty significant northeast wind lasting into the weekend. It really dies off Saturday night, but that's going to keep our waves up. So the rip current risk is the main focus right now for tonight. For Wednesday, Thursday is the rain with some wind. Friday, the rip current risk continues. Same thing for Saturday into Sunday. So that is what we got for you on this Tuesday evening. We're going to keep you up to date, as we've said throughout, as we always do. So stay with us right here in the WOBX Weather Center. Check out all the details, WOBX.com. We're updating those stories constantly and all of our social media channels as well. Have a great Tuesday evening, everybody.